Tabula rasa, bitches!
Hello, hello.
Hello!
My name is Allie. My pronouns are she, her.
And I'm Nick, and my pronouns are he, him.
And welcome to Season 3, Episode 8 of Tabula Rasa, bitches.
In Tabula Rasa, bitches, your two co-hosts discuss and dissect Buffy the Vampire Slayer, a show that bonded them together so many years ago. And in this episode, we will be discussing Season 3, Episode 8, Lover's Walk.
Oh! Because Spike returns this episode, and that's exciting.
I was like, werewolf. I like it. Good.
Ow! Oh, no. Before we get on with our episode summary, I am going to take this opportunity to request of all of you, if you're enjoying this show, please share it with friends. And if in the app you're listening to, it gives an option for rating and reviewing, a positive 5-star rate and review would be very welcome. We would love to grow our audience, grow our fan base. I personally get so much satisfaction out of being part of people's Buffy journey. We have a handful of people who have never watched Buffy before and started watching because of this podcast. And there's one piece of my perfect life pie completed.
Oh,
so that
Allie,
would be helpful. Thank you.
That's so tender. We have currently 13 ratings on Apple Podcasts. All of them are 5 out of 5 stars. So that's pretty exciting.
Cool.
Okay, so as usual, we will do our best to avoid spoilers beyond this episode, but today we will discuss this episode's spoilers and all. Recently dumped by Drusilla, Spike returns to Sunnydale seeking revenge on Buffy and Angel. Spike encounters Willow in a magic shop while she puts together an anti-love spell to turn off the feelings between her and Xander. And seeing Willow, Spikes decides, that's not, I didn't type that right. I'm sorry. Spike decides to forego revenge and instead decides to use magic to win Drew back. As Willow and Xander debate about whether or not to go through with their spell, Spike shows up, kidnaps them both, and takes them to the burned down factory. Spike then enlists Buffy and Angel's help, obtaining the ingredients necessary for Willow to perform the spell that will make Drew love him again. In witnessing their behavior towards each other, Spike calls out Buffy and Angel for pretending they can ever be just friends. Doing this, Spike realizes he doesn't need a love spell to get Drew back. He just needs to be himself. I love wholesome lessons from Spike. At the factory, Willow and Xander are convinced their deaths are imminent and stop fighting their attraction to each other. Oz and Cordelia arrive to rescue them just in time to find them intensely kissing. While running away from the scene, Cordelia sustains serious injuries. The next day, Oz and Willow aren't speaking. Cordelia turns Xander away. Buffy decides not to see Angel anymore, and Spike heads after Drusilla to win her back. Allie, you have done most of these summaries. I had not appreciated until just now in this moment. That's a lot of words to get through. Good job to you. Like looking back, gold stars to you for doing them so excellently.
It's my Shakespearean training. I'm good at monologues and soliloquies. Also, I read over that sentence you stumbled over. It is technically right, Spikes. Oh, it does say Spikes. Never mind. I did proofread this summary and did not catch that. So that is, I will own up to that. Yay, Spike! I'm just so excited to have Spike back in our lives.
Spike is indeed back in our lives, and we're all richer for it. Lover's Walk, indeed. What an episode. So when we open, we are discussing SAT scores, which, man, that brings back memories for me.
I thankfully didn't have too much stress over that because applying to an arts major, it definitely wasn't the main focus. So yeah, because I was applying to an arts major, I didn't super care about my SATs, which was a bit of a bummer because I did well.
Yeah, I remember I got what I needed to guarantee admission to the state school that I wanted to go to, and I was like, I'm done. I don't test well.
I also, I was in an advanced placement track in high school, and so I was surrounded by...
what was that called? Humanities? Yeah, you were in HUM.
Yes.
That was what they called it.
I was in HUM.
Yeah.
Well, I was giving a more general term because 90% of the world did not attend Centennial High School and would not understand what that is. But anyway, I was in
a little more than 90% of the world didn't attend Centennial High School, but
fair. But so I was surrounded by like the smarts of the smarts in our grade. And so my view of what a good score was so skewed. My mom had to send me an article that broke down like what is the country average, what is the state average, what is the county average, and what is your high school's average. And then I was like, oh, okay.
We're doing okay.
Yeah,
well,
it
looks like Willow was kind of along your lines, because Willow did really well, was convinced she didn't. Xander actually didn't do well. And Xander and Willow have this moment. Xander sits down to kind of comfort Willow, and it's like slightly intimate. And then
just far Cordelia, too familiar.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, this theme. I'm so over this.
When you're having tension, this whole like sitting, like essentially sharing a seat, and then like very lovingly, like kind of like pats her back, and just get your shit together.
This once again is going to come up in my hot take section, but Cordelia and Oz walk up behind them, and they have this like jumping up moment, because it's like, oh, we're not supposed to be doing this. And turns out Cordelia we don't know how well Cordelia did, but we do know that she did well from Xander's reaction. And this just continues the theme that we have talked about for like frequently, Allie, that Cordelia is a low-key brainiac.
Yes, my note is, who's shocked that Cordelia crushed her SATs? Yeah, no, she did extremely well by their reactions. Like, can go anywhere. Like, Xander makes a, for the moment, pretty cute joke about like, oh no, my rep is going to go down because I'm dating a brain. Like, kind of cute.
Yeah,
would be cute if you guys weren't like being gross.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And Oz has a good line that I thought you would like. He looks at Willow's score and is like, I can see why you'd be upset. And then he goes, that was my sarcastic voice.
I did. I almost wrote that quote down. That was great.
They kind of talk about how they should all celebrate. Cordelia has a funny moment where after somebody's just suggested doing a double date, Cordelia's like the four of us, and then to Xander she mouths no.
Yeah, have you ever had that with a significant other, where you have to like do that silent communication of like, this isn't what we're doing?
I'm like, you better be reading my mind right now, because I do not want to be the person that declines this opportunity.
Right. Yeah.
So
I
then
can't remember
Buffy,
any particular time that I've done that, but
yeah, I can think of one where you did that
to
Hayden in front of me, because you didn't want us to keep going out, Allie. And I remember actually Hayden did not pick up what you were putting down, but I picked up what you were putting down. And I was like, Allie, you don't want to go out, do you? And you were like, it's late. I was like, fine. So I did it for you, Allie. You're welcome. I will always be here for you.
Was that when we were staying with you?
No,
Or was that when you were here for my birthday? When was this?
No, this was years ago. Yeah, years.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
This was back in Baltimore. Yeah.
I'm going to trim this section down because this is not interesting, but I had to satisfy my curiosity. Interesting. Yeah, that does sound like me. Like, no, I am not down for bar hopping. I'm good to go home.
Right. Well, now
I enjoyed my night and I'm ready to end the night.
Now you would just say, I don't want to go bar hopping. I want to go home. And it would be like, cool, fair enough.
Yes.
You did not always do that.
That's true.
You used to be like try to be a good sport, but no need to be a good sport. You're with your boyfriend and your dearest friend.
Yeah, well, and I was still feeling more guilt over that, like pressure of like what a person in their 20s should be doing versus checking in with myself and being like, do you at this moment want to do this? No, then don't fucking do it.
Yeah, stupid version of FOMO. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so Buffy walks up.
FOMO gets me in such trouble.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Buffy
walks up.
And she has also done amazing. Buffy has this interesting moment where she's kind of like, she's like thrown for a loop in a good way. It's like she now has more options before her. She did well. It's actually like she has more options before her. And that seems to be stressing her out. And I get that. I also sometimes that is scary. Like, yeah, having more choices before you is sometimes stressful.
Totally. Yeah, absolutely. I love that Buffy did really well on her SATs. Again, extremely well. Like everyone is not like in a very like not dissing her way, but shocked by just how high they're like you could go anywhere you wanted to with these scores, which speaks very highly of those scores. But I am not belittling her intelligence, questioning her studying. How did she get that score?
Yeah.
Because
some people are
SATs is
naturally
like
good test
English,
takers.
I guess, but you still have to have a foundation of knowledge. I mean, I guess you don't have to like a lot of it is reading comprehension and like writing if they had the essay section. So I guess, and if she's good at math, then I guess because it's not like there's no history on the SAT, right? It's math and English, basically.
Yeah, I think it's verbal and math. Yeah.
Okay, then yeah. Okay, then I guess if you just know how numbers work and you know how to like dissect a sentence structure, then okay.
There's like tricks you can do on standardized tests like that too. To like.
Yeah, but it's not like she was going to an SAT prep course to then learn. Those tricks.
Yeah, not quite sure how she got those scores, but I'm glad she did.
Oh, super pumped for her. But I definitely did scratch my brain like, okay, but like when did she study? Because just with her school attendance, it's not like she's absorbing this stuff just by sitting in class.
Yeah, good point.
So, but anyway, good for her. Good for her. So there's this funny moment with Cordelia that I liked, where everybody's saying like, Buffy, you could go to like any college you wanted to. That's great. And Cordelia's like, yeah, you could get out of here and never come back. and she was like, no, because you could get out. And she says, what kind of moron would ever want to come back here? And then smash into the very next scene where we see the Welcome to Sunnydale sign smash through, which is just fantastic. It's by this point in season 3, that is a very classic Buffy moment. Like if you paused right after she said that before it went to the next scene, you'd be like, somebody's going to come back to Sunnydale.
Somebody's going to come back to Sunnydale. And I need to acknowledge something. I said, and I pulled up the old episode and I verified this. I said during season 2, episode 3 of our podcast, Allie, I forget what the episode title is. Shit, I should have written it down. It's around 18 minutes. I noted it was in that point in the episode we were introduced to Spike for the first time. He entered the exact same way. School hard. Thank you. God, you're brilliant. He entered the exact same way. He ran over the sign. And I said at 18 minutes of that episode, I said, put a pin in it. And this is me coming back over a season later. I think it's over a full year later too, to say, dear listeners, this is why I said put a pin in it, because he enters the exact same way again. Well, this time he's drunk. That's different.
Yes, we have our first ding ding. If we had sound effects, we would have our signature sound effect here. It's our first juxtaposition of the episode. Assuming you remember that first time he smashed through. And I did have to go back because I was like, wait, did I comment on this in season 2? Because I was actually remembering this moment from season 3. So I actually had to like pause the episode, look up on YouTube Spike's entrance. And I was like, no. Okay, yeah. Because he has that really cool step out. The music plays. He lights a cigarette. Like it's a really cool entrance. Not that smoking is cool. He just looks cool doing it. Most people don't. You, listener, don't look cool doing it. Don't.
Oh my God.
PSA
Savage.
over.
Good.
One of my hills I will consistently die on. But no, so we have our juxtaposition of Spike's first entrance where he's just like on top of the world, badass. And instead of coolly stepping out of the car, this time he tumbles out of it, very obviously intoxicated. We are glad that, well, I guess technically we don't know, but hopefully the Sunnydale sign is the only thing he smashed into. Yeah,
could
and
smash
both
into me
times
if he wanted to. Not with his car.
Not with the car. Please, not with the car. And both times he says, home sweet home. But obviously very different line delivery. Very cool.
Okay, so we have our intro. When we come back, Spike is walking through the classic factory ruins. He's very drunk. He finds Drusilla's dolls, and he has kind of this monologue, anger out moment where the audience learns that Drusilla has broken up with him. My favorite line from this monologue is he's smashing a doll, and he says, "You stupid, worthless bitch!" And I typically do not like bitch being used against women in a derogatory way like that. In this case, though, Drusilla was pretty awful to him, and I support him and his misogyny here.
I support the use of bitch in this context because I would equally support the use of bitch in the same way against a male or a male identifying or anyone of any end. And I use bitch as a like gender neutral, sometimes positive word, sometimes affirmation, but also derogatory. So the way that I would use it, I say you can use it against anyone.
It passes the Allie test. I agree.
It's also just so satisfying to say. Bitch is such a great word.
Bitch! Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It flies out the mouth well.
So yeah, we are seeing Spike at such a pathetic state. Yeah. It's funny, but also it's so incredibly sad.
Yeah, and we see later on too, Homie's really at rock bottom here. He's not thriving. Yeah.
Yeah, they must have gotten a really, I imagine it was immediate, positive response to Spike, because you don't have a villain character in this kind of like sympathetic state if you don't know that your audience loves them.
Yeah, he has
obviously he's not a like pure villain because he can come in and be sad and mopey and we're all like, oh no, Spike.
Right. Yeah. It's cool to think that he was like very instantly a fan favorite.
I mean, I can only imagine so. I was too young at the time to know like what the message boards were saying, but I imagine he could not have been anything but an instant success.
So the next scene, we're back at school. It's decided that they're going to do bowling for their double date, and Cordelia very much isn't into it. And while she's very much not into it, there's this adorable moment between her and Xander where Xander sees that Cordelia has hung pictures of him in her locker, and that is quite the step to take in this relationship.
Yeah, it's really sweet. They've come such a long way from her wearing her necklace under her shirt that he gave her. He said, yeah, it's really cute. He says, there's pictures of me in your locker. And she's like, yeah, well, I looked really good in them. But it's really cute because it also shows that like they were actively going on dates. Because I actually called this into question a while ago that like, are they doing anything than just like parking? But they went to the pier and had like a date day and took cute pictures. And that's like really, really sweet and definitely means a lot. Also, side note, Cordelia is rocking a second, at this point in this episode, her second adorable plaid skirt. And I'm loving this plaid skirt moment.
We love it.
Time.
Good moment. Good fashion moment, as always. Cordelia and Xander walk up. They meet Oz and Willow, and somehow during this walk, Cordelia has agreed to bowl, although I kind of think she's still not super into it. And Cordelia and Xander walk off, and now it's just Willow and Oz. And so they're talking, and they walk up to Willow's locker. And here is just a fucking adorable moment. Allie, do you want to talk about it?
Oh, my goodness. Yes. So he says he has a surprise for her. And he, so we're like, okay, what kind of gift is this? He gives her a Pez witch. And it's just the cutest thing. And it definitely, just like the effect it has on Willow is definitely that like specific knowing your partner kind of gift that like only in a good relationship can you see that kind of thing. And it's just very, very sweet. And she is very, very overcome. And I as somebody who really loves gifts, getting them and giving them, it was such a sweet moment. And she talks about like, oh, now we have to get her a little werewolf Pez. And he's like, you might have to settle for a quirky cartoon dog. That was just very cute.
Yeah. And then Oz walks away and Willow looks very guilty, as she should. Yeah, it's adorable though. Oz, you're the best.
So I must have missed all of this lead up in previous watch throughs because I just don't remember
I don't remember
all of this
hating Willow and
grossness.
Xander like this. Is it because we've talked so much about it that we're like just very offended? No, it is a centerpiece in these episodes.
Well, and it's not even like, oh, I had the distance of like watching week to week. Like, no, we would binge the whole series in like a week. So it's not like it's about having distance. I think it is maturity. Mm-hmm. And like having been in relationships, I think relationship stuff affects us more.
Yeah, we know that like you don't just like,
I hated it.
Yeah. We know that you don't just like cheat on your partner like that and continue cheating on them. You don't do that. God.
Yeah.
Ugh.
And even just the like the being weirdness, like either break up with your people and then be together and stop being weird, or shut that shit down.
Yeah. Yes.
And sort yourself out, which again, I don't know if I would have been capable of that in high school, but who knows? Didn't have to go through it, so we don't have to put that to the test. Anyway, so now we're in the library.
Yep. So Giles is complimenting Buffy on her test scores. They're talking about some retreat that Giles is going to go to. I have a question for Allie here, but I want you to get your note out of the way.
Why would Giles bring all of his gear to school?
I had that same exact question. Yeah,
why?
Do you keep your sleeping bag at school, my guy?
That makes
what? Yeah.
No sense. Like, I think you could have communicated that you are going on a trip without you having your duffel bag and sleeping bag like on the table in the library. That makes no sense. Why would anyone bring your sleeping bag out of your car into another location that wasn't where you were camping?
Yeah, again, unless the sleeping bag was already there at the library, which is not the most far-fetched thing. Yeah, this is a silly
No, I guess that's true.
No, but maybe he has like other
maybe
stuff
he had to go back
at
the library and okay.
We
go.
Like
there's the justification.
Me and you love finding justifications for tiny things that really probably just don't make any sense, but I like that we do that.
Maybe he keeps it there for Oz during his time of the month. There you go. There's a reason for his sleeping bag being at the library. Cool.
Fantastic.
Great. We solved it. Now
I just
now
like
we can get to your
referring
question.
to it as his time of the month. Anyways.
I know, right? Side note, why are most werewolf stories about men when it's a moon cycle thing and it's a time of the month thing?
Why? I'm driving the bus on this episode. I'm gonna keep us moving here, Allie.
Okay, cool.
Buffy
cool.
says to Giles, you pack like me. And my question for Allie that I already know the answer to is, are you an overpacker?
Me? Okay, so depends how you define overpacker. Because if I can fit everything in the suitcase,
if anybody ever says, it depends on how you define overpacking.
Then the answer is yes. But if it fits in the suitcase I was intending to bring, then by Allie rules, it's okay.
Allie rules are the only rules that matter.
And I often make a point to use everything that I packed to then justify said packed things. But it drives me crazy, the idea of, and I've been in this enough times that I choose not to be in this anymore, is when you're in a situation and you're like, well, I do have a rain jacket, but it's at home. Or like, I did have this pair of shoes, but it's at home. So I would rather just like have it and not need it than need it and not have it. So there.
Fair enough. Viewers, she just gave me the most sassy look ever. It was good. I walked into that
Also, I also justify it as, if I can carry the suitcase, I don't have to justify it to anybody. Or like, as long as I am willing to carry this suitcase, then it's okay.
No, you kind of lose me there. Make the men do it, honestly. That's one of four things.
It's nice if someone else is, but one of the things that Bruce Press instilled in me was you have to be able to carry your own bag. So he couldn't, because he was a very austere man. So he would definitely quirk an eyebrow at my overpacking, but he'd be like, what all is in here, when he would like put it into the car, and I'd be like, I can carry it. That's all that matters.
Fair enough.
And you, what is your packing like?
Oh goodness, total, yeah, total overpacker. If I'm going on a weekend trip, I am bringing, I am bringing like 9 pairs of socks, probably 10 pairs of underwear. What if I get diarrhea 19 times? That'll be fine because
What
I
if
will
I'm
have enough
unexpectedly
backups.
sweaty and I want to change my underwear midway? Who knows?
Absolutely, yes, yep. Shoes get me into trouble because they take up a lot of space, and I do not have a big
Yeah.
suitcase. Unfortunately, I just have a little gym bag that I take everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, okay. This has devolved a lot. That was my fault though. That
Okay,
was
I have a
fun.
Giles quote.
Oh,
That I
good,
liked.
good, good.
So Buffy says that, yeah, my mom freaked out when she saw the scores. I think her head exploded. And Giles has a look for a second and goes, perhaps I've been on the Hellmouth too long. That was metaphorical, right? That was cute.
Good clarification. I like this exchange between the two of them. Buffy is like, yeah, she like started talking all this crazy talk, like I can get out of here. And the way she's like saying it, I feel like I can see like hope in her voice that like she's like dismissing it, but at the same time she's really hoping for it, and she's like expecting Giles to be like absolutely not. And then Giles is like, yeah, we should talk about it like when I get back, but you should think about your future. And I just love this dad Giles thing here. It's nice.
Yeah, it is. Also, I definitely had the thought of, remember when good scores were enough to get into a college? Like the way that they're all talking about, like, wow, with these scores, you can go anywhere you wanted. And I had to like recontextualize the situation for myself because I was like, why is everybody acting like it's a shoe? She's a shoe-in now that she has good scores. That doesn't mean anything. I'm like, that's grew up in different decades.
Yeah, for real. So Giles also urges Buffy to, quote, not do anything rash while he's gone. And he's talking about Angel because, as we learned last episode, they learned last episode that Angel's back. And Buffy kind of hilariously fumbles the answer back. She goes, there's not going to be any rash anywhere. Oops. And then she says nothing's going to happen. And it doesn't seem
friends,
like
that's all either of us wants. LOL.
Yeah.
Lies.
And it doesn't seem like Giles really buys it either. So
yeah, I mean, I think she is trying to convince herself as much as she is trying to convince Giles.
Yeah, I think you're totally right. And they did that kind of funny Buffy thing that you talked about earlier with the you could get out of here, and then Spike crashes through. Buffy says nothing's going to happen, and then we cut to the next scene where Willow goes, something's going to happen. So she's talking to Xander, and she's like really concerned about this double date, that somehow they're going to know that the two of them have like hooked up. And I feel like we've belabored this point so much, Allie. I'm worried our listeners are going to get sick of hearing about it. But
well, we're all sick of seeing it.
This conversation is so gross. They're like active, like this to me rises from like, oops, we locked lips one time. Like what happened? Oh my God. To like, they are actively like reflecting and planning and like
right.
This is not okay.
Right. Yeah. Again, that's why I'm like, how did I essentially miss this my whole life? She even says it's a very intimate situation, talking about going bowling. I'm like, even in like cute warped Willow logic, I still don't get that one.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah.
It's really not. And then I just wrote in all caps, God, this whole thing. And then I also wrote, Willow, get angry. Because Xander even says explicitly, I just wish I weren't I didn't find you so attractive.
Oh my God.
How are you not red? Seeing red. How are you like, yeah.
Yep. The second both of them became unavailable, then he woke up and smelled a hottie, and I don't have time for it.
Yep. But then we are rewarded in the next scene with a nice breather.
There's one scene in between. We're almost right. Are you talking about the sexy angel scene?
Mm-hmm.
Right before this, we have a very quick Joyce scene. So Joyce is suggesting, right. And the only reason I bring this up is because Joyce has a quote that I want to on the record because I want a response from Julie Press about it. Joyce is like suggesting these, like she's like, she talks about Carnegie Mellon and she talks about Brown University, these like extremely prestigious schools that Buffy could go to. Buffy's kind of like brushing her off, like, can we talk about this later? And this is the quote that I want. I would be so curious about Julie Press's feedback on. Joyce says, "You belong at a good old-fashioned college with keg parties and boys, not hellmouths and vampires." And I was like, Julie Press in the same context would say the exact same thing.
I agree. Oh, yeah. Yeah. No, she was about enjoying herself. I mean, you still had to get good grades, but yeah, she certainly wasn't going to say, don't go partying. It was always just the, like, be responsible.
Yeah, and especially if you were, like, looking at imminent danger or making bad, like, party choices, she's like the type of real parent that would be like, yeah, go to the party, please. Right. Call me if you need a ride. Don't drink and drive.
I think most reasonable parents, given seeing life on the Hellmouth, would be like, I would give an arm for you to be drunk at a party right now.
Yeah. Okay, so then we get to the moody scene by Angel reading by the fireplace, and he looks very moody and attractive.
Hawkeye's reading. Although, as soon as I had the like, Hawkeye's reading, I then also had the, you have a couch thought.
Yeah, you don't have to sit on the fireplace.
He's on the hearth. And he's a vampire. I don't think he's worried about getting cold. So it's not like he needs to be close to the fire. I don't think. So then it's just like, babe, just go sit on the couch.
Well, he's probably sitting on the hard fireplace because he can't fucking read and we know that there are lights in that place. Like this is just clearly setting up.
He needed the firelight.
This is like setting the mood for sexy Angel time, and I'm here for it. But showmakers, you were transparent in what you were doing there.
A little bit.
Okay,
yeah.
So Spike is watching moody, sexy Angel reading. He's talking like a lot of shit. He's still drunk. He falls and passes out, and then he wakes up because he's burning in the sun.
I love that. Before he falls, he's muttering all this nonsense. He says, "Yeah, I'll show you who's the cool guy."
You will, Spike. I believe it.
Yeah. And burning sun is one hell of an alarm clock.
It is indeed. And this is the moment where I was like, man, this poor guy, he's like running through, he's like trying to dodge the sun. He's not doing it. He like, his hand is burned. He gets into the car. He like pours alcohol all over the wound or whatever. And this is just, he's really at his low point here, man.
Yeah. Yeah. And I definitely had, why would you pour alcohol on your burn?
I'm not sure that like cheap whiskey is going to be the disinfectant you think it is.
Well, can vampires get infections?
Oh, that's a good question.
Also, I don't think you have to worry about, so he got the hand burn and then he ran straight to the car. So I don't think he even would have to worry about infection because it's just been out in the air. So it's not like he got cut by something and then needs to like disinfect the wound. So it's just, I think it's drunk brain logic that just wasn't logicking.
Burn, you need to, yeah, you're right. Yeah. I
think he just needs to chill out.
I did just Google while you were talking, so I'm sorry editing Allie for the keyboard noises.
Thank you.
Side note, the internet seems to be conflicted about whether like drinking alcohol can be a disinfectant, but healthline.com says it's not. So don't take this lesson, folks.
Okay. I mean, that's why there's a difference between rubbing alcohol and other kinds of alcohol.
So that can be my PSA for the episode. Okay, so Spike walks into a magic shop. He's asking this lady how to cast a curse. The curses are quite petty that he wants to cast on Angel, and I find that hilarious. And I just respect it. Willow walks into, and she kind of has a list for this lady, and she and the lady talk, and the lady's like, "Oh, you want to cast a love spell, huh?" And Willow's like, "Actually, the opposite of that. You idiot. You must be really bad at your job." And she doesn't say that. So the nice lady gets the stuff for Willow and sends her off, and then Spike kills the nice lady.
Yeah, I even wrote the note, no, don't kill the nice shop lady.
That one made me sad. I was like, that was unnecessary. We didn't need to do that.
Yeah, I think he also could have like just gotten ingredients and left.
Right.
But he is Spike, so we can't.
Are you some like uncivilized monster?
Yeah.
I guess so.
What are you, a demon? Oh yeah.
Okay. So
I also have the note. Huh, so Spike has always had that scar. Huh. Because I remember the first episode we saw him in, I was like, wow, that scar is like stark. I was like, maybe it fades as the series goes on. Cause like, I don't remember noticing it before. No, it's still there. So I guess yeah. His little eyebrow scar.
I remember it being pretty prominent too. Yeah. I think.
Yeah. But it's still there if you look. So.
Yeah. Well, good to
know.
Okay, so we're at Pity. What? We're at Pity. We're at City Hall. The mayor is putt-putting in his office. I find him adorable, even though he's sadistic.
Of course. And we don't really know. We don't really know quite the extent of his sadistic nature yet. Yeah.
Right. He kind of references not having a soul, like already having sold his soul or something.
I wrote down that quote. I would sell my soul for a decent short game, of course. It's a little late for that, which is funny. And I wrote down more clues. Okay, so no soul, and he knows about Spike, which I guess now that we've seen him dealing with Mr. Trick isn't too out there, but still, just it's just like dropping more clues as to what his true nature is, and he's mentioned once again that this is a really important year.
Yeah, it's like,
and the way he's talking about it, it's definitely not referencing like, oh, it's an election year.
Yeah, it's a lending idea to this like looming huge threat over all of them that we're so curious to learn more about. And so he tells the aide to, quote, take care of the Spike problem.
He also has another good quote. He says, loose cannon, rock the boat. Is that a mixed metaphor? Boats do have cannons, and a loose one would rock the boat. I enjoyed that. It gave the same energy as, do sore thumbs really stand out? Have you ever seen a thumb and gone, wow, that baby is sore?
That is one of that quote. I pulled that quote. I did a graphic on it at one point. That is one of our best performing graphics.
Really?
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. Do you ever look at that? It's like, that baby is sore. Yeah, that was a good one. Oh, Willow.
Yeah.
So we're Angel and Buffy are in the mansion. Buffy's kind of talking about how she has no idea where she wants to go to college. We established that Joyce doesn't know that Angel is back. Have you ever had maybe this is just like a gay thing. So Buffy makes clear that Joyce doesn't know that Angel is back and that they're friends. Again, there's charitable use of the word friends here. And I sensed some like disappointment, resignation or something from Angel. Being the secret sucks. It is like no fun. Have you ever been in that situation before?
Have I ever been the secret?
Yeah.
God, no. No. I have not led nearly an interesting enough life to have been a secret to anybody.
But I wouldn't call that an interesting life. Because I think you have lived a very interesting life, Allie. Don't say you haven't lived
interesting romantic life. I am happy with the life I have led. I have 2 relationships. I can maybe count 3 if dating the same person twice counts as 2 separate times. So yeah, I have never been the secret.
Never been the secret.
I imagine 'tis not fun.
Fair enough. Okay, so Buffy asks Angel what he thinks she should do, and he says, as a friend, I think you should leave, which is
very pointedly.
Yes.
As a friend.
It is very pointed. I think I like him saying that. I think I like that. I think I like that advice from him, even though it's clearly
Definitely.
not. It is not what Buffy wants to hear.
Well, no, of course not, and it's not what he wants.
Yeah.
But I think it is a good recognition, even though like pointedly saying it as a friend. I think it is a good recognition of what this is, what is right for you, what is right for the world, whatever. And she even says, "Yeah, but there are reasons to stay too." And then again, pointedly, he says, "What are they?" Ooh,
Mm,
got him.
mm,
You gonna say it? You gonna say it?
yeah, and she has another line too. She says, "It's not like there's any great thing keeping me here." Oof, Buffy. Oof.
Yeah, definitely her getting a little touchy after him saying that she should leave.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah,
but
there's
it's like
like two conversations happening between the two of them right now.
definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
And actually, I could dispute that she was waiting for confirmation from Giles to say that like she should go. I think her gut says stay. I think her internal life wants her to stay. For better or for worse. But so I think she is a little hurt when Angel says, "Yes, let's be friends. You should go."
Yeah, I agree. I agree she's hurt, but I think that I still think she was excited that I don't know. It's a complicated one. She's probably feeling complicated too. It would be like,
No, I don't
yeah,
think she is excited at the prospect because I think then she would she'd want to talk about it. You know, she's putting off talking about it with her mom because she doesn't want to go. She doesn't want to talk about it.
I think no, the way she was talking about her, maybe she was saying, I don't know.
Or maybe it's her realistic brain like talking back to herself of like I can't let myself hope because it's not the right thing. So like I'm not even going to let myself hope.
Yeah, yeah, it's a tough
But
one.
I think in this episode her desire to be with Angel is informing her gut that she doesn't want to go.
Yeah, yeah, you may
So
be right
also
there.
informing her state of mind. That is a pretty deep V for a visit with a friend, Buffy.
Girl, Buffy, we see you. So she kind of clunkily thinks of an excuse to leave, and as she walks away, we just see that Angel clearly knows that something is up.
Yep. Well, I mean, I think they both feel it, and it's that they're not willing to speak of it because he's like, "What? You just got here," and she, makes an excuse to leave because like, well, now she's upset and she doesn't want to still be there. But it's like he can't really pretend that he doesn't know why she's leaving. So it's just
Right.
this like very spoken, unspoken thing.
So the next scene, Willow is in the lab at school. Xander walks in, and Xander starts being flirty. Fuck you, Xander. And Willow
But
initially likes
before
it, but
that,
then shuts it down.
before he's getting flirty, he says, "Can we turn these lights on?" Honestly, good question.
Good question. That's true. Good question.
I mean, I guess once we find out that she's casting a spell, not practicing her chemistry, then it's like, okay, maybe she doesn't want people in the hallway to know that someone's in the room. But I always feel that way. Like when people are investigating a house and stuff, I'm like, turn the fucking lights on.
Turn the
You
lights
announced
on,
your
yeah.
presence. You don't need stealth. Anyway.
So Willow is kind of hiding the fact that she's casting a spell. She's like talking around it. She straight up lies at some point, and then Xander figures out that he says, "Wait a minute, this is love spell stuff. You're doing a love spell." And
Mm-hmm.
Willow then comes clean that like, no, it's not. It's like a anti love spell. And Xander kind of correctly is like, these have not gone well for me in the past,
Mm-hmm.
referencing the time he tried to cast a love spell to make Cordelia love him, and it made every single woman except Cordelia love him.
Yep.
And
He
yeah,
also says, so you really need to resort to the black arts to keep our hormones in check. Actually, again, point from Xander.
again, fair point. Yeah, totally. Yeah.
And this, I won't go too much into it, but this emotional manipulation, it's too hard. I need to cast a spell. I
I'm
can't live
nodding
with this way.
so emphatically right now.
It is a slippery slope.
Yeah.
Trying to make quick fixes for our very emotional, very human things.
Sometimes magic doesn't solve problems like we think it will.
Or even if it can, sometimes it's better to do it the hard way.
Yep.
Do it the long way. Anywho.
So then Xander does go to turn on the lights, and then Spike sneaks in behind him. There's a scuffle, and Willow makes a note later that Xander was brave in the scuffle with Spike, and he was. I do not like giving Xander any points, but he was. He has kind of like a sick hit against Spike. Like, he like leverages his feet, like kicks back and has this moment. It's pretty good. He gets knocked out, so that's not great.
Xander's had a few times where he surprisingly holds his own, or at least even if he doesn't hold his own, he definitely puts himself out there.
He does try. He
tries. Yeah.
So yeah, Spike wins. He takes them to that burned down factory, and he's telling Willow that Willow is going to do the love spell. He says, "You can do it, right? You can make Drew love me again, make her crawl." Don't love that.
A time when Spike is not actually healthy with his romantic notions.
Not ideal. And Willow is kind of like, yeah, like I think I can do it. And Spike's like, I'm gonna let you try that again. You will do it. And then we see more sadness from him. He says, she wouldn't even kill me. She just left. She didn't even care enough to cut off my head or set me on fire. I mean, is that too much to ask? And that's
I wrote down that
line.
quote too. Amazing. At least if you're going to break up with me, at least have the courtesy to kill me.
Come on.
I love that. This scene between Spike and Willow is so oddly sweet. I love it.
What other quote? Did you write down any other quotes from it?
Yes, I did. So I wonder if it's the same one. So he's talking about all these things he did for Drew. He's like, I did everything for her. And he talks about, brought her jewels and beautiful dresses with beautiful girls in them.
I wrote down that too. Yeah.
Pretty great. That is my last quote for that scene.
So Spike he talks about how he caught her on a bench with a chaos demon and they're gross and it's just like so insulting. How could she? And he's like very emotional, and Willow just goes, there. Trying to comfort in her own way. Okay, but like basically we established that like Willow will cast a spell. She doesn't have all the supplies, and Spike has to get the stuff to cast a spell. So he heads off to do that. Presumably.
The same way you put a pin in Spike's entrance, I'm going to put a pin in this scene between Willow and Spike for a later season.
Excellent. I can't wait. Cool. Okay, so in the library, Buffy's jump roping. Oz and Cordelia run in. They're extremely panicked because they were supposed to meet Xander and Willow, and instead there's this like scene of destruction. I have one funny exchange between Buffy and Cordelia. Buffy's like, maybe they were taken or ran, and Cordelia's like, you're having too many oars. Pick one. Just Cordelia under stress is hilarious.
So good.
And then so they decide that Oz and Cordelia are going to go get Giles from his retreat. Buffy's going to go after them. Buffy gets a call in the library from Joyce. Joyce kind of wants to schedule a college talk or something. And while they're still on the phone, Buffy hears Spike come up behind Joyce. So Buffy now knows where she needs to go, which is home.
Yep. But what we see before she gets there is Joyce pouring Spike tea.
It's so cute.
Which is just so cute. And then while she's doing this, he is retelling the exact same story he told to Willow, which if that's not the most relatable moment of this entire episode, I don't know, maybe several episodes. That was absolutely me. Any kind of guy drama, I was so desperately retelling it to anyone who would sit still, hoping that like this next person would have the brilliant advice that would cure my situation.
I also find I shop around my guy stories as well. And I'm always looking like, actually, most times I'm not looking for the solution. I'm just somehow when I tell these stories, I am always the hero and the guy is always the
Duh.
villain, and I am just looking for that validation.
Yeah, and also sometimes I just want to talk about it.
Mm.
So I'm just constantly retelling the story. And the number of times I would get partway through and Anna would be like, yeah, Allie, you already told me that. Like, whoops.
Anna, shut the fuck up. Let me tell it again, okay? God.
No, you know what? It was better than Sarah Calvert, I would get entirely through my story. And I don't tell short stories. So I would get entirely through my story and she'd be like, yeah, I remember when you told me that. I'm like, why'd you let me go on? She's like, well,
Yeah,
I could
you
tell you
either
wanted to
have
talk
to
about
not
it.
acknowledge that it's been told to you multiple times, or you cut it
Or
off.
cut me
like,
off.
Yeah,
Right.
way early. Yeah.
Or it's like someone who lets you get through a joke only to spoil the punchline and be like,
You're
yeah, I
like,
heard it
"What?
before. You're like, well, then why'd you let me tell the joke?
And you can go fuck
Bitch.
yourself. You can repeat as many stories to me as you would like, Allie. I certainly do it to you. Okay.
Yeah, I don't make excuses for that kind of stuff anymore.
So, Spike also asked for marshmallows with his cup of whatever he's having, and that's adorable.
And Joyce very, very generously is like, oh, well, let me go look. So funny. Their relationship also another pin in. Just, yeah. And then we see outside the Summers residence, before Buffy gets there, Angel is lurking around.
Yeah, I'm confused by this. I was hoping you had an explanation. I don't know why Angel is there.
I mean, maybe he wanted to check on her, but she just told him she hadn't told Joyce. So there's really no good reason for him to be there. And he certainly doesn't have foreknowledge about Spike being in town. So he has no reason to go check on, they don't have a crisis in process at this moment that he knows of. So he has no reason to go check on Buffy. If he wants to talk to her, he shouldn't be looking for her at her house. So no, he has absolutely no reason to be lurking.
Cool. Plot hole. Okay, good. That's fine. We'll take him. So yeah, Angel's lurking. He sees that Spike is there, so he tries to rush in, I think forgetting the fact that he's been disinvited. And
I don't think he knew. Oh, no, they disinvite him in front of him. Never mind. Continue. Don't mind me.
I will mind you. I'm obsessed with you. You're always on my mind.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, Spike making faces behind Joyce as Angel. So Angel is trying to be like, Joyce, you have to believe me, invite me in. He's up to no good, blah, blah, blah. And Spike is miming, biting Joyce behind her to piss off Angel. Oh my God, it's so funny.
Yeah, just the taunting.
And this such an interesting thing of Joyce has always been suspicious of Angel before she knew anything. She's always kind of suspicious of Angel, but has just always had this weird connection with Spike. There's a time in the second, there's this time in the second season where she's like, wait, haven't we met before? And he's like, get away from my daughter. And she's like, oh, that's right. But this still isn't immediately wait, you're a monster, get out of my house. She just immediately has this soft spot connection with Spike, and I love it.
I love it too. So Angel says, you touch her and I'll cut your head off. And Spike says, you and what army? And then Buffy's there and she says, that would be me. So Buffy's kind of grilling Spike about where Willow is. She invites Angel in. Joyce is so confused and adorable. We saw this at the end of the second season too, where they're having Spike and Buffy are having a conversation, and Joyce is interjecting with these questions. Buffy's talking about Willow being a witch, and then she mentioned Xander, and Joyce is like, Xander's a witch? What? And so basically at the end of it, Spike says that Willow is going to cast a spell for him, and then they can be let go. But if they kill Spike right then their friends are going to die. But so the spell is getting cast, and he invites them to make sure the spell gets cast.
Mm-hmm. And there is a moment, maybe just after this, where they're walking down a street or down an alley, and Buffy's like, I don't even know why we're even indulging this guy. He's probably just got them tied up in the factory anyway. And then Spike very clearly goes no, Because the whole point of them indulging him is that, like, well, you'll never find them without me. But then Buffy very clearly is like, they're probably in the factory. And then he clearly lies. And I'm like, Buffy should have called him out on that. And I know this would have been a shorter episode, but I a little disappointed in Buffy at that moment where she should have been like, we should just go check the factory.
I just called your bluff. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So we see that Oz and Cordelia are driving, and Cordelia is spiraling. And then
so sweet how she's so worried.
She's extremely worried for her Xander. It is sweet.
Mm-hmm.
Oz kind of abruptly stops the van because he can smell Willow. I don't know if he knew that he could smell her before this either. And Cordelia goes, "This is disturbing." And Oz goes, "I agree."
Yeah, she even has a comment of like, "Is this some kind of like leftover werewolf thing?" And it was kind of hard to see because he kind of mumbles, kind of hard to hear what he said back, but like, duh. Obviously, This is a werewolf thing. This isn't a normal human thing, Cordelia.
Right, just like reminding people who are watching, who have never watched another episode, that he's a werewolf. Like, that's their subtle way of like telling the audience.
Maybe, but we just talked about it with the Pez conversation.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
Being a werewolf.
Yeah, you're right. Oh, yeah. Okay, Cordelia, that wasn't your brightest moment then.
It's okay. She's really worried. Her mind, she's preoccupied.
Concerned with Colombian drug lords.
Yes, in Sunnydale. That's what we're worried about.
So Angel, Buffy, and Spike break into the magic shop. They're shopping around. This is a good truth-telling moment from Spike here. Spike is moping, and Buffy and Angel are making fun of him. Mm-hmm. And Buffy goes, "You're pathetic. You're not even loser. You're not even a loser anymore. You're a shell of a loser." And Spike very savagely goes, "You're one to talk." Oof.
And then she asks him what he means. Buffy, it's Spike. What do you care what he thinks? Good point. I mean, I'm glad that she asked, because then he responds with this wonderful quote. I didn't take the whole speech because it was a whole speech, but I kept doing like an ellipsis so I could write down another part of it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I wrote down, "You're not friends. You'll never be friends. You'll be in love till it kills you both. Love isn't brains, children. It's blood." And then, of course, I had to write down this iconic quote. "I may be love's bitch, but at least I'm man enough to admit it."
What amazing truth-telling from Spike.
Amazing. Surprisingly healthy, sort of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, not like healthy, but at least self-aware, you know?
Yes. Yeah. I think I'll take a good deal of self-aware over some healthy behavior. I think a lot of healthy behavior stems from self-awareness.
Right. Yeah, and he's right. He's like continuing to call the two of them out for this like happy little lie they're telling themselves.
Yeah, and it's so funny. It's somewhat of a trope of like no one knows you better than your enemy, or sometimes like your enemy's a better friend to you than your friends because your friends lie to you. So it's kind of this like wonderful moment because it's not like her friends are around to observe how they are around each other. So it's kind of this beautiful moment of like this person who like surprisingly knows both of them shockingly well and is actually gonna, hates them enough to just say this shit to their face.
Right. So Willow is trying to break out of the factory. Xander starts coming to, and Willow kind of gets him up to speed on everything that's happened. They're in the middle of nowhere. Willow's doing a love spell, and Willow says, "Well, I figure I either refuse to do the spell and he kills us, or I do the spell and he kills us." I push back on this false choice that we have before us. Really, Willow? Really? We think those are the two options. We don't think that there is like another magical third option that's playing out right now that Buffy saves the day.
Yeah. Well, and I get her logic of at least starting to do the spell because it's like, well, maybe he won't, either he kills us or I do the spell and maybe he doesn't kill us. Like, at the very least, doing the spell is buying you time. So I do think she's justified in doing the spell.
No,
But I
no,
do think it shows
totally.
a lack of faith in the rest of the Scoobies that like surely someone you both had a date that you didn't show up for. Obviously someone's going to come looking for you.
Yeah, I totally agree with do the spell, but then the fact that so they're going with the so they make out, Xander and Willow make out after this, and it's because their deaths are imminent. They can like
Mhm.
really, and that's not true. Why would you think
Mhm.
your deaths might be imminent? Like I recognize that, but they're not like definitely imminent. So this logic we're using that
Is
oh, we're
completely
gonna
false.
die anyway, so it's gonna be like, no. How many times have you been saved before? You didn't
Right.
show up to a date. To your point, like it is not.
Well, and that's the weird thing about my reaction to this episode today in this time because I wrote down the quote exemption for impending death situation. And I said, I must have missed the lead up because I used to count that. I used to use that excuse of like, if I think I'm about to die and there's someone reasonably attractive near me, sure, I'll make out. Like, why not? But then if you actually, with a clear head, look at this situation, Spike's not even there.
Yeah,
There is no ticking clock on them. There is no bomb about to go off. There is no pendulum swinging closer and closer to them. Like, they are not in impending danger.
yes,
So,
yeah, we're in
it
agreement.
which
Yeah, this
which
is
then
ridiculous.
right, yeah, which then takes away any kind of justification.
Yeah. Well, and we see how bad of an idea it was because right as they start making out, Oz and Cordelia walk in, catch them.
Literally the moment.
Then Cordelia and they were off. I'm like Willow was trying to get out. I don't know. I have question. Whatever. I'm suspending. Um,
It was an excuse. It was, it's when you want to eat the cake, but you're like, well, I worked out today, so I've earned this cake. Like, you were going to eat the cake anyway. You're just justifying it to yourself. Like, they were
no,
clearly begging for any kind of justification.
yeah, no, that makes sense. I'm suspending my disbelief about how Oz and Cordelia walked in when Willow couldn't get out, and how they did so quietly that they were able to catch Willow and Xander
Mm,
making out.
fair. Well, maybe some doors only lock from the outside.
That's true. Good point. Okay,
Sorry,
okay,
that
and
one's
then
easy.
yeah,
The
okay.
quiet, though, I have a hard feeling that any of those doors are like particularly quiet, but
Who knows? Well, okay, suspending.
so half of that is explained.
So Cordelia is horrified, runs away, falls through the steps onto a
Rebar.
pole. Yeah, yikes. Of course, right?
Rebar is fucking nasty. That shit is woof.
Yeah, that's one of the we've seen a lot of gore in this, but somehow that image of like Cordelia laying there with it sticking through her, like
Mm-hmm.
that does stick with me in a like a there's a scene in the next episode too that strikes me as like
Mm.
particularly gory that like sticks with me too. We'll put a pin in that.
Okay.
Okay, so Spike, Angel, and Buffy walk out of a magic shop immediately into a gang of vampires sent by the mayor. Yikes.
Yeah. And we get another great fight this season.
I wrote that too. Oh, it's such a good
Yeah.
fight sequence.
Seeing the three of them kicking ass in this like momentary united front, that was awesome.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, Buffy stakes two of them at once at one point.
Yes. And she stakes him, that's with the broom handle, right?
Yep.
Which she's using as like kind of a bow staff. And I wrote down, well, now aren't you glad Giles started you off on the bow staff? And yes, I recognized that she only had that one fight with Giles and immediately put him on his back and then they moved to the crossbow. Yes, I know.
If anybody had corrected you on that, I would have told them to touch grass.
Oh, okay. So after this fight, they run back into the magic shop because they're being overwhelmed by numbers. And this leads me to my question of the episode. You can loot from a magic shop. We're not talking about ethicalness. We're not talking about repercussions. You get a chance to loot a magic shop. What are you taking?
Ooh. Allie, that is a good question. I'm sure there's a better answer to this. The first thing that came to mind for me, I want a real, like, magic, prophetic deck of tarot cards.
Ooh. Okay. Like
The
a
reason,
deck of tarot cards with some actual like zhuzh on them.
yeah, because I want something that I can, like, if I only have one chance to loot this place, I want to get something that can kind of
I mean, you could
like,
take more than one thing.
oh, no, that's introducing too many options. I don't know. Do you have thoughts on this
Okay.
answer?
So a lot of it would be judged on aesthetics. Because there's a bunch of things that I think I would find in a magic shop to be really pretty, like those big ass crystals and shit. But
Mhm.
because I don't actually think that they have powers, I would never pay like magic shop prices for an enormous amethyst, whatever. But if it's for free, I might want a big ass crystal because they still look cool. Like rocks are cool, whether you think they have magic or not. And because they're in a magic shop, maybe this particular rock does have powers. But then
True.
I think I would also be looking at like talismans if they're labeled. I'm not just going to take talismans from a magic shop willy-nilly. But if they are clearly labeled, I might take some talismans. And then obviously in a loot situation, you can't read and inspect all of the books. But if some books caught my eye that were either like, ooh, this would be fun to look through or potentially useful, I think I would probably take a book or two.
I like that too. I just love books in general. Yeah, I got to get some books if I'm
Books
in
are
there,
great.
you know? I
Mm-hmm.
don't want any
Yeah,
that
but
are like obviously haunted, you know?
right. Yeah. Like if anything's put away under glass or something,
We're going to leave that. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm probably not going to like smash a case to take that because that might harm me more than it helps me.
Right. Okay. Ooh, that was a good question, Allie.
Yes, a peek into the inner workings that I go, oh man, no one's running that shop. You could just take shit.
You could just have whatever you wanted. So there's more fighting in the shop, and one of the vampires says something unkind to Spike. He says, "Yeah, I heard you gone soft. Sad to see it, man." And this like
Soft like
activates.
baby food.
Right. Yeah.
It's a pretty good burn. Baby food is indeed soft.
It is very soft, and Spike is a manly man, so
Well, and then it leads back to later when he's kicking that vampire's ass. He goes, baby like his soup? Baby like want his supper, and he keeps like banging his head down, keeps saying, baby want his supper. Yeah, and then he dusts the vampire, and I just thought that was really funny.
It is really
good. Really petty, and clearly that scratched a nerve, and you're like, oh, poor thing. He's clearly in this vulnerable time because obviously we know that any true manly man cannot have such a small comment actually injure them. You would be already confident in your manliness. And someone saying you've gone soft would not be enough to make you fly into a range.
I had a fraternity brother be like I was saying like they were doing something dangerous and they said something to me like, man, that's really soft. Like they used that like kind of soft thing. And I remember I was like, what do you want me to be hard? Is that what are you telling me you want me to be hard right now? Like what do you That's a dumb insult. That is a dumb insult. It is dumb. And yeah.
I'm just so glad things like that have never had an effect on me. Like people saying like, oh, do it, you won't. Bet you won't do that. It just never had a spell on me like it clearly does to other people. Thank goodness.
Yeah, I guess it kind of like triggered me in the opposite direction. Oh, well.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Anyways, this was very healing for Spike because he's like got his energy back.
And he even says, you know what? I don't even need to do this spell. I'm just going to do this. I might tie her up, torture her until she likes me. Okay. Solid plan, Spike.
Right. And as he walks out, he goes, love's a funny thing. And isn't it indeed?
So great. Yeah. You know, sometimes what you really need to get back to your real self is just a good fight with a whole bunch of vampires.
Just some violence. Yeah.
Just a little bit of violence.
I should try that.
Yeah.
Okay. You just said yeah to that. That was not the answer I was expecting from you. But okay, good. I'm going to go fight a child.
I was pretty sure that statement was sarcastic.
It wasn't. It was very serious. Okay, so
go take up some kickboxing.
this next scene, what they've done is really rude because we have seen
yes,
Cordelia
this bait and switch
out with the rebar. Yeah, and it looks like she could definitely be dead. So this next scene they open and they're at this funeral. It's like, oh my God. And then it kind of cuts down to Buffy and Willow walking through. You fuckers.
Yeah, and very clearly, even though they don't immediately address Cordelia, very clearly having like a casual conversation, and clearly they're not at the funeral, so like, okay, things are okay. Yeah, I imagine when this initially came out that was a pretty devastating bait and switch.
Well done.
Obviously, hardly affects me now because I know that she's not dead, but yeah, rude.
And there isn't like a whole lot that sticks out to me from this conversation, but basically like the couples are broken up. Nobody's talking to each other.
Yeah, but I do like that Buffy doesn't try to help Willow like justify or excuse her actions. She just like is like, yeah, you're going to have to do a lot of groveling. And just doesn't let her like slip away.
And also isn't like overly punitive either.
No, because again,
kind of
clearly
like
Willow's already beating herself up. So like she's not adding on, but she's also not going to, she's not being kind of like a toxic friend that just like lets you get away with anything. Right. Like you.
That's not true. I just told you before we started recording you shouldn't put something on your credit card.
Oh, that's true. That's true. No, that's healthy. No, I totally mean it jokingly, but you are definitely that friend. I'd be like, I robbed a bank, and you'd be like, yeah, slay.
I'd be like, they deserved it.
They deserved it. They were clearly asking for it. What was that bank wearing?
Yeah, right. It's Becca. You can steal from corporations. It's okay. No worries. You're good.
Yeah, I would not steal from a mom and pop bank. No.
Yeah, right. Oh yeah,
like First Mariner or something like that.
I can be a little, yeah, and that is a crown I wear happily.
You're a very supportive friend.
I try to be. I would do anything for you. I would kill for you. I would die for you. You would not do the same for me, bitch.
I'm aware, yes.
Cordelia is in bed crying like I'm going to be in a minute because you won't die for me like I would for you. Yes. Cordelia's in bed crying, and this is like legit a heartbreaking scene.
Yeah, it is.
Xander walks in with flowers and she's looking away, and
it is a gorgeous bouquet. Not saying that she should be like moved by this bouquet at all. I'm just saying objectively gorgeous bouquet.
Yeah, he did well with the flowers. It would be great if he had done well with the relationship as well. And he like starts saying this, what I'm sure is going to be an epic apology speech. And she interrupts him. She says, Xander. He goes, yeah. She goes, stay away from me. And then she looks away and continues crying.
Yep. I mean, she's given up everything for him. Everything. And continually endangers her own life to be with the Scoobies, which, you know, she made her choices, but, you know, he had all the time in the world to be with Willow, and then she gave everything. And you can tell she's got pictures in a lock. Like, it definitely, yeah, I get the betrayal. But actually, I do have a next note, because we know that Willow and Oz aren't talking. And obviously we've seen this scene with Cordy and Xander. Help me, I guess we sort of already talked about this. Because I was going to say, help me talk through Cordy and Oz's reactions. Because of course we as the viewer know the build up with Willow and Xander. So we know this is inexcusable because they've had many transgressions. But as far as we know, Cordelia and Oz don't know that. So as far as they know, this was the first time, and this was a life-threatening situation. But I guess we just talked about, like, it wasn't that life-threatening.
I think it would be like I think the story that I would tell myself in that situation is I would say, oh my God, I got to this lab and you all weren't there and there was a fight. Oh my God, I'm so activated. I am terrified. You might be dead. You might be brutally maimed. Who knows? Like, I'm just trying to get Giles. Oh no, Oz smelled. Okay, cool. We might know. Oh my God, this is the factory. Wow, this is really dangerous. Oh no, this is like really scary. Who knows what I'm about to walk into? And you walk into it, and it's them having a grand old time. Obviously, they're not having a grand old time, but the story I would be telling myself is like, I was here crisscrossing the city. I found you, and you're here making out?
Right. And again, it's not like the door was being watched by Spike. It's like there really was a serious lack of impending danger where I think they could have gotten away with. And previous Allie, again, must have missed this lead up because previously I was like, yeah, come on. Like they were in a life-threatening situation. They're really close friends. Like I could see, and again, cheating is the cardinal sin, but bomb about to go off. But again, there was no bomb going off. This really wasn't the impending death situation.
Yeah.
Especially not compared to any other situation they've been in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Betrayal is a tough one.
Because I was just thinking of like, in a more normal situation, what would this be like? Like if you caught them kissing at like a party, like that would be different because it's not impending death. But again, that justification is flawed because they really weren't in danger.
And I think like something about the great lengths that they had just been to find them and make sure that they were safe. There's like an extra slap in the face because of all of that effort that they're putting in only to discover a betrayal happening like in progress.
Do you think Cordelia's injury had a part to play in her ultimate reaction?
Yeah. Do you think she's really real pissed too? She's like,
I think maybe it's insult
she's like,
to injury.
I got impaled for this too.
Right. Yeah.
That's a good point.
I think that could be part of it because I think it's, again, on top of everything I have given up for you. I'm in love. She was in love with him, and she wouldn't have even been there on faulty stairs if it weren't for him.
Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thank you for talking that out with me.
Thank you. So I only have like a couple of more notes. So this next scene, Buffy walks into Angel at the mansion, and there's like kind of the breakup talk. This was one of those where I wrote down like the entire scene, and I don't want to read it all. What from this scene sticks out to you?
She says at one point, I can fool Giles, I can fool my friends, but I can't fool myself. Can you fool Giles?
Yeah, I don't know.
I think your friends have been preoccupied, so clearly your friends haven't been giving you a second thought. So, okay, sure, you can fool your friends. Were you fooling Giles? Were you? And then the other thing I wrote down after she says like we shouldn't see each other anymore, Angel says, "I don't accept this." First of all,
that rubs me the wrong way too.
That's not a valid answer. But second of all, how is that? He's been one to propose the same thing several times.
Right.
And again, I get the like internal like I can't accept this. I can't accept this. Over. We'll work it out. Blah blah blah. But then like the verbalizing, I don't accept this, is questionable.
That kind of flies in the face of what you have said and done leading up to this point. So
yep, yeah. Lots of times.
The only other one I wrote down here was he says, "There's got to be some way we can still see each other," and she goes, "There is. Tell me you don't love me." And he can't. Fair. So she walks away. Side note, her outfit here is very much giving office manager, and I'm not obsessed with it.
She means business.
True. Good point. She does mean, yeah. And she managed that situation.
I love that little exchange of like, tell me you don't love me. And then her leaving. Because I think that just like really encapsulates it.
Yeah.
Because it's putting all the cards on the table of like, this is how we feel. So this is what we have to do.
And then we have this like montage here. Willow is sad girl with her Pez dispenser. Oz is sad boy with his guitar. Strangely alone in the Bronx, but that's okay.
Yeah. Exactly. Does Oz just have keys to the Bronx?
It's just like, yeah. And he has a house. I don't know. Very strange.
Right. That was my other thought of like, were they avoiding a new location? I was like, no. No. We've been to Oz's house, and we weren't at the Bronze for any other reason this episode. So they had no reason to let's just shoot it at the Bronze. So yeah, interesting choice.
Xander, sad boy. Cordelia, sad girl. Buffy, sad girl. The only one.
Cordelia, sad girl with no one visiting her in the hospital.
Yeah, ridiculous. She needs somebody by her side at all times. Yeah.
Right. Like, if I was a teenager in the hospital after a life-threatening injury, I would think my parents would be sleeping at the hospital to be with me.
I know for a fact they would.
Yeah. So, fucked up.
Spike is not sad boy, and it's a good palate cleanser for the episode.
Yes. Oh, but I do love sad girl Buffy in her hot pink leopard print button up.
Yeah. Also, in kind of a random, undisclosed. I assume outside at school or something, but it's everybody.
Yeah, I just assumed she was on one of the benches in front of the school.
Yeah, I assumed that too, but it was still she could have been. I don't know.
At
whatever.
Home,
it's fine.
Something. Right. Yeah.
Okay.
And then in the end, Spike is the only one happy.
And he's having a good time. Good for him, dude.
Which I kind of love.
Yeah, his arc this episode has been wide.
Yep.
So I have some trivia. Do you have and I have trivia. I have a hot take. Do you have any non-trivia or non-hot take notes about the episode we haven't gotten to?
No, sir.
Okay, my trivia for this episode. This is all from IMDb. According to James Marsters, he actually did end up burning his hand really badly while he was filming that one scene where he woke up struck by the sunlight. And he did not go to the on-site medic. Instead, he pretended everything was fine and then went to a hospital directly after shooting was finished.
Bad idea.
But
also, how? How?
I assumed that it was a fake hand, but maybe got burned under. I don't know. That's what IMDb says.
It's just his hand is just in the sunlight.
But there's it lights on fire. There is a fire. He sticks his hand in water.
Oh, that's right. Duh. Never mind. Yeah. So I guess they didn't put enough gel or whatever that was supposed to be burning anyway, burning instead.
Yikes.
If anyone is an actor listening to this, don't pretend. You're getting paid to do a job. That job is not to get injured. So get your shit fixed and make them pay for it on their time.
Yes. That could be a PSA from both of us. Love that.
Yeah, that's true. That's a PSA for any workplace injury.
Buffy's last words to Angel are, "Tell me that you don't love me." And that is identical to the script she and Angel were forced to reenact during I Only Have Eyes for You. Neat. So the title of the episode is Lover's Walk. It appears in different sources as lovers as one word with no apostrophe, lover apostrophe S, and lovers apostrophe. However, the introduction to Rhonda Wilcox's Why Buffy Matters, The Art of Buffy the Vampire Slayer says the script apparently does not carry an apostrophe, making for a short, sad, declarative sentence for a title. And I think that makes sense. So Lover's Walk. Yeah, we're talking about lovers who walk away from each other.
Right. I'm trying to think through all of the DVD menus and stuff that I've seen over the years. In my head, I don't picture it with any kind of apostrophe at any point in that word.
I don't either. I agree with Lover's Walk, no apostrophe. Okay, these are two quick but interesting ones. As a child, Charisma Carpenter really was impaled on rebar. I could not believe that. I went to her Twitter. It is there. Yeah, or X, whatever it's called. She was playing in the backyard of her house when they were building a pool. There was no fence around it, and she slipped and punctured her stomach on a piece of rebar poking at the concrete.
That is such a specific injury to then recur in this episode. Wow.
Yep. This strikes me as unbelievable, but it's on IMDb, so I will believe it because I haven't verified it. This is the last time in the series, as well as the spin-off series, that Buffy, Angel, and Spike are all in the same scene together.
I do think that checks
There
out.
is one in the 7th season where Spike is they're in the same scene. No word there aren't words exchanged between the three of them in the same scene. So I can think of at least one kind of like example where that doesn't fit. But if that's it, then that could be true.
But like they're all in the same room?
Yep.
Okay. In the 7th season?
Yep. I'll tell you off mic what it is.
Okay. Yeah. Interesting.
Maybe, and if that seems like slightly unbelievable, if it is indeed incorrect, please, I'm open to being corrected, dear listeners.
I mean, the crossover episodes on Angel, Buffy, I do believe it is true for Angel. You sound convinced about 7th season, so I'm inclined to believe you for that one.
Cool. Thank you. All right. That's all my trivia. Do you have hot takes?
I do not.
I just kind of I'm going to push back against like a narrative that they have about love in general in this episode. That one quote from Spike that you mentioned, the like it's not in your head, it's blood or something like that. Like the way, and like Willow and Xander talking about how like their attraction is like, oh, it's like inevitable. Like this way that they're talking about like it's like love is outside of your control. I don't think that's true. Like I think that's a good like movie definition of love, like star-crossed lovers meant to be together, and I buy into it when it comes to Buffy and Angel. But just in general, like as like a hot take that I have for like younger people watching this, like love is not inevitable. In fact, like a better part about love is that you're actively choosing to be with the person you love, and you're like actively like making sacrifices and holding commitments to that. Like that is the better, that makes love better than it being some like,
well, I think it's the difference between passion and love.
Yeah,
maybe.
You're right.
And I think it's, and I think that would maybe be the pedantic difference between lust and love. And also there's that initial period of time that varies where like it does feel like you just can't keep your hands off of each other. Which then eventually fades into the like you choosing them every single day. And I said this in another episode when we were talking about like, Willow and Xander just like couldn't help it. That like I think having that kind of stance that Spike has is a way for irresponsible people to justify their actions.
Yes.
Because, and again, maybe I lack passion. Maybe it's because I am someone who has a lot of trouble being in the moment, and so I think over all of my actions. But there was never a time where I was like trapped in a room with someone I was attracted to and just like couldn't help kissing them. Like,
especially not while it was like wrong for you to do that.
Yeah. And I haven't been in too many, in any, if any, situations of like, oh, I'm trapped in a small room with a really hot guy I'm attracted to or something like that. But it's just like, yeah, I think that it's a very literary concept, second, like Bridgerton, of like, oh, they just like, oh, they can't even be in the same room with each other because they drive each other crazy because there's just so much attraction between them. And I mean, if you have the chance to feel that and you do, like, I guess good for you. In some situations, it seems like it's more trouble than it's worth. I would rather have my love and passion slightly more moderated and not get me into trouble. But I'm with you. I think it's more of a literary concept than a real world thing.
And your point that like people take the literary concept and are like, oops, I just couldn't help it. Like, yeah, you could.
Right.
You did not have to drive to the person's, like you did, or like whatever situation Xander and Willow found. There's like you're, yeah.
Yeah. Unless you have some kind of traumatic brain injury that has like literally put a dysfunction on your impulse control. Those kinds of situations aside, you have control over your actions. Take responsibility for mistakes that you make.
Boom. Love it, Allie.
Well, then, on that mic drop, I think that does it for this episode. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us for today's episode, and we hope you'll join us next time when we'll discuss Season 3, Episode 9, The Wish, which is a pretty fab episode.
Yeah, one of the best, for sure. If you're just too excited to wait until the next episode to chat, send us an email at tabularasabpod@gmail.com. That is tabularasabpod@gmail.com. You can also say hello to us on Instagram or TikTok at tabularasabpod. And I will once again one-up Allie's great ask at the beginning of the episode to please leave a rating and a review wherever you listen to your podcast and consider sharing this with a friend. We would be very honored. Allie, where can people find you on the internet?
You can follow me on Instagram at daughterpick, DAUGHTERPICK, or on TikTok at Future Black Cat. I am once again posting and sharing Black Cat content. So
I've been seeing it.
So it is once again an active channel to follow. So now is the time. And if you would like to follow my personal journey as an actor, you can go to buymeacoffee.com/Allie-Press, ALLIE, press like press a button. And you can follow my blog posts, subscribe, toss me some money. You can also go just to Venmo, Allie-Press, and shoot me a few bucks. Thanks.
And all of those social media handles are going to be in the description. Allie, it's always a treasure to see your beautiful, wonderful face.
Thank you. I enjoy your presence. You're one of my favorite people on the planet. Thank you. We love you all. Thank you all for listening. And until next time, make proud choices. Bye-bye.
Proud choices. Bye.
Tabula Rasa, Bitches is hosted by Allie-Press and Nick Mercer, with music by Inflaton Cult, artwork by Charlotte Fleming Design, and consultation by Evo Terra.